and in the BLG series, T1 lose an extremely dominant game. This meta, especially with Tristana, Ziggs, these really strong pushing champions, you can just get absolutely crushed. These one-sided games have happened a lot here at the Esports World Cup, and I think T1 know this is a best of 5, the first of the tournament, and they can bounce back here with blue side, first pick priority. They're gonna ban the Ashe away. They're not gonna let JackeyLove have that one again in this series.
Yeah, interesting that Top Esports go on the Talia ban as well. Obviously, they don't get first priority on the Tristana, and they're kind of just following through with the same bans. And, you know, it doesn't make as much sense on the red side. If you ban a 0 on 3 here, T1 just take Tristana, I'm more than happy. So it'll be interesting to see if they switch it up and target that instead. T1 banning the Tristana themselves?
A bit puzzling, and now this allows the Rumble ban to come through here, I feel, for Top Esports.
Yeah, and you'd hope that T1 has a plan outside of let's hope that we can get Tristana or Rumble, because if they ban away Tristana themselves, then they definitely looking probably at a Rumble being taken away. The Corki first pick could then come in if the Rumble is taken, but the Corki is going to be the ban priority, and so Rumble for Zeus should be the pickup, and there it is.
Yeah, so we removed both of those AD mid laners, and I feel like those two are at such a forefront in the meta that's really enabled a lot of the AP mid laners that we have seen. So be interested to see how the draft priority changes for those junglers, but T1 obviously already happy they got this Rumble pick for Zeus.
And this tells me that Top Esports are not concerned with the Rumble pick, and I thought potentially we'd see a ranged pick here for 369 instead of the Cassante, just simply because it allows you to control that matchup a little bit better. Not going to lock in that Cassante just now. They will get the Maokai here instead. We might see something like a Jace coming out, not necessarily in this R2 slot. It is going to be the Yone instead here for the AD mid. Now, this allows Faker to potentially play the Yone. He's pretty comfortable with this match. Or sorry, not the Yone, the Azir. He's pretty comfortable with this matchup into the Yone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Top Esports, because obviously the Maokai can have some AP damage if you go towards it, but we could see 369 bring out the Kennen again, maybe.
Yeah.
Picked up on 3, and T1 looking at the Ahri. They could just go Ahri Vi here, those two pairing together really well.
Yeah, the Vi is going to be the first lock-in, but Ahri, LeBlanc, either of these choices feel decently good into the Yone, although we did see Cap struggle in that matchup, the LeBlanc variety, yesterday. And Ahri, pretty synonymous with Faker right here. He's got a skin on that champion. Has certainly been one of his big picks throughout his incredibly long career. And Vi Ahri needs no introduction.
And I feel like if I'm seeing this on T1 side, for Top Esports, I feel like Ezreal will be such a high priority just to avoid the point-and-click lockdown that comes out from the Vi. But looks like they are focused on securing that top lane pick for 369. It will look at the Kennen, but they go for the Cassante in the end.
I think the Cassante feels very, you know, flexible here in this draft. I mean, not in terms of where it's going, but what it can do against all this CC, because he's just so tanky, can be a really strong frontline. If you go for the Kennen, you're putting yourself at risk of just getting blown up and caught when you're on a flank. The Ahri finds you on a flank, charms you. The Vi finds you on a flank and charms you. You're dead. It's going to be great for the matchup, but it's not going to be great for how team fights play out later. Now we're going to start going down the barrel of 80 carries here, since that's the part of this draft that hasn't been touched. Zeri, Ezreal, Kalista, these picks are definitely getting taken off the board here. You have to imagine pick priority going to Top Esports here. Whether they want to take support or 80 carry is up to them. Leona, another pick that may be considered here. Now, Kai'Sa ban indicates, okay, maybe we're trying to get the Ezreal here. Ezreal may get banned away, but they also have pick priority, like I mentioned, so a bit of a strange one, that Kai'Sa.
I think a big part to me is it really works well with the dive potential of the Yone, but also it is a pretty heavy AD composition that's going to come out from Top Esports, so helping that damage profile. The Ziggs even maybe with a lock-in in this situation, but I think, as you said, the Ezreal also a factor. And when we're talking about the Leona as well, we saw Mako play that so frequently in this tournament. You know, before this series, 3 out of 4 games had been on the Leona, so definitely something he likes to prioritize.
I like the Kai'Sa ban purely because I'm pretty sure that's what JackeyLove played when they played this exact composition outside of the Cassante swap for the Kennen. So we saw how it worked there. It looked very difficult to deal with. So at least they don't need to focus on that one. But that Ziggs, like you were talking about, is sticking out like a sore thumb. Now the Leona has been banned away.
Ezreal comes through here, but you have Kalista, you have Renata, and this is a really strong lane for Guma Keria here into this Ezreal. It's very strong into Yone Maokai. I think this is possibly where T1 have the answer here. They took away the Leona, maybe feeling comfortable now they can play that, you know, Enchanter support of the Renata here. Push the lane super hard and get that advantage. Nerfed on this patch, still the Kalista quite strong, banned less often, so sometimes does slide into these drafts, so that could be the angle here. This, I like a little bit less.
I want to see Caitlyn. That's what I want, but instead it is going to be the Kalista Renata like you were talking about. I think there are a lot of very strong options towards that bottom side, but I'm always just that little bit interested in seeing the Guma carrier Caitlyn Lux. That's what I would have liked to see, but sometimes you just don't get what you want, and instead it's a different, very strong bottom lane. As Mako with counter pick option, what has he got into the Renata? And it looks like it might just be another round of Braum.
Yeah, not really going to be a fun 2v2 in that matchup, but the Braum shield has quite a lot of value in this situation, you know, being able to block a lot of the spears being stacked up by the Kalista. So definitely going to be a bit more on the defensive end when it comes to 2v2 laning. Obviously, Braum as well just have a strong level 1 though, but I definitely feel like the draft is a lot more even here. I think T1 have given themselves a lot more tools.
And it's a T1 draft. You've got the pick potential, you have layered CC. It's the simplicity we've been asking for T1. They finally get it, and they get comfort. Faker on Azir, owner on Vi, Zeus' Rumble, and Guma Carrier, and a Kalista lane. What more could you want as a T1 fan? I think no T1 fan is going to shake their finger at this one.
Yep, it's win lane, win game, and that has been their bread and butter for many, many years. So looking forward to seeing whether this is going to mean that we're heading towards a 1-1 in the series.
And it's such a stark contrast from game 1, where mid was the only lane which you could potentially win based on how it's played, and then lost horribly, and both the side lanes were in a rough spot for minute 1. So definitely going in a much better position for them to take control, take agency when they're setting up for plays.
Now, players preparing to get onto the Rift here for game number 2. We'll see whether T1 can do that mental reset. I was checking to see the players and how they were feeling after that loss, and there were giggles out of both Owner and Zeus as they were sitting down. I don't think anyone was looking too phased. It's a best of 5. It is a long series, and we'll see whether they have got themselves back into the mindset and are ready to get into it here for game number 2.
I think T1 is a team that's seen more best of 5s as an organization, more best of 5s than anyone. So I think they definitely can bounce back.
Well, let's hear now from the T1 coach.
Hello, everyone. We do have the T1 coach joining us indeed ahead of their matchup for the second game. Thank you so much for your time. I would like to ask about that first game initially in regards to the Ivern, the Tristana, the Ashe, the Braum. A lot of CC, a lot of aggression from the type of top esports. Is that the reason for the 4-man AD carry ban?
일단은 이렇게 인터뷰 응해주셔서 정말 감사드리고요. 일단 첫 번째 질문은 지금 상대방이 CC 조합을 좀 많이 가져왔었는데 좀 그래서 이제 원딜 4밴이 좀 나왔던 건지 그게 좀 궁금합니다. So for AD carry bans?
Yes.
사실 이제 오레이디 조합을 짜더라도 이제 아이번 브라움 조합이 강력하다는 건 알고 있었는데 저희가 이제 1, 2픽을 구성하는 과정에서 좀 컨셉을 확실하게 잡았으면 저희가 좀 유리하게 이끌어갈 수 있었을 텐데 그거를 픽을 선택하는 과정에서 잘 못해가지고 패배하게 된 것 같습니다.
Well, firstly, I knew that Ivern was very powerful, and Ivan Tristana was very powerful, so we wanted to counter that. But I think in the first 2 picks, I think we had a problem there, and so we couldn't really counter that.
And when it comes to this game particularly, what is the adaptability and the approach of the draft that we're seeing right now for the laning phase particularly?
이번 픽 같은 경우에는 과연 그 라인전 구도에서 그러면 좀 어떻게 좀 판세를 좀 보시는지, 어떻게 카운터를 좀 진행하실 계획이신지 그게 좀 궁금합니다.
이제 저희가 1픽으로 럼블을 가져오면서 좀 초중반부터 유충이랑 용 컨트롤을 확실하게 해서 초중반에 좀 강력하게 해나가는 걸 컨셉으로 잡고 픽을 뽑았습니다.
Well, first of all, the Rumble pick, I think it is the key because we're trying to have a power move on the Void Grubs and early Dragon fights. So I think that will be the key.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Good luck in this game. And AD, let's head over to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ginny is standing by with by coach of T1, Tom, and Maddox for those translations. You can see ran into some issues with the Ivern. Very different looking draft this time here, Joshi.
I'm a big fan of this draft coming out from T1. They have a lot of power around the early Rift Heralds, around the early Grubs. I feel as though this should give them a great chance to actually build some of that early priority and give them some advantages going into the fights that we never really got to see in the first outing.
I was a little bit surprised that they gave Jackie Love the Ezreal, though. You know, banning away the Leona is one part of that best AD carry support combo with the Ezreal and Leona, but I feel like the Ezreal, for me personally, is the stronger part, especially when you're talking about Jackie Love. So I would have liked to see the Ezreal banned away instead, but overall, I do agree. I think that T1 this time around at least give themselves a much better chance in this draft. The game number one, we were all kind of shaking our heads, and even Tom there, you saw he was like, yeah, we ran into some issues, and I think we all saw that in game one, and hopefully T1 can kind of move on and have a better chance with this draft.
Yeah, as we've done a lot in the LCK, we've seen Kalista bans. So this time, a focus on Kalista Renata down on the bottom side of the map. Joshi, it has been well documented how strong that combo can be.
And I think it is important to note at this point that it's not going to be the same kind of Kalista that we were seeing on 14-12 with the opportunity nerfs that we saw on 14-13. It is still going to be very lane dominant as the Kalista Renata, but it's also going to have a little bit more focus on the auto attacks, a little bit more focus on the mid-game scaling opportunities from the Kalista. So the fact that it's already paired this Renata having a strong laning phase just means that it's going to be giving so much more power to T1 later in the game.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a much better chance in the 2v2, especially with the Braum being melee. Like, yes, it's a very strong pick. There's a reason why it feels like all of the LPL is highly prioritizing this pick in general, but I think especially Kalista Renata should have a much better time of handling that 2v2. So, again, I just feel like T1 have given themselves a much better chance in this game. Now, top esports still have been really, really clean, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them come out and put up a really strong fight, but I don't think this game is going to be another 23-minuter.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to put the spotlight on for top esports. You can go up and down the roster, but for me, the one that has the most to prove and is stepping up the most is Cream in the mid lane, given the fact that in his domestic results, so good, again, a younger mid laner, and then going up over at MSI, didn't perform to the level that we've known him to do, goes back to the LPL for the summer placements, has done phenomenally, and now multiple solo kills here on the Faker, and is just a crux on what they wanted to do in game number one.
And seeing that they're moving on to this Yone as well showcases that this player should be able to do this on more than just the Tristana, which has been such a core part of top esports success so far throughout the Esports World Cup. We know this Yone has been lurking just underneath the surface after the Corki and Tristana, and seeing that Cream is willing to go to it relatively early on in the draft really showcases a lot of confidence, especially going into Faker.
Yeah, we obviously have some time here, as you got some amazing shots here over at the Kadia Arena, but we'll get to the action in just a little bit. I was told it was just a couple minutes, but this crowd, what a ruckus.
Look at this guy.
He's gonna steal Kanga's job.
Hey, no one can take Kangus's job, as it is written in the stars that he's the one to get everyone excited. But it is the stakes have been so high here over at the Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends, as now the players start to lock on in once more. Given this matchup, given the fact that LPL versus LCK, a long storied rivalry here between the orgs, one thing that we love to note here, and anytime there's a new tournament, there's always been an LPL versus LCK matchup, and now we get to see it yet again as T1 and Top Esports do yet another chapter in that battle. As standing by right now, we have the man. You say his name, he shows up. Kangas, take it away.
Kadia Arena, you are electric right now! My job's easy. I don't have to do anything. You're making noise on your own, but I want to take some time here, since we're waiting for the draft to start, to hype up the crowd just a little bit more than you already are, and give some props to some folks that have brought some amazing signs along with them. I'm in the T1 section right now, and I see something up here that I got to point out. Has this gone on broadcast yet? Because if not, we got to get it. Can we get a shh? There we go. There we go. That's anti-hype right there. But I know we were just doing it. I'm going to request it again from everybody here. I love me some battle chants. So T1, you know what we do. T1 fighting! T1 fighting! T1 fighting! Again, they're gonna keep going until I stop them, so I gotta get a little audio check from the top esports side. You've been making noise all day. Give me a TES! The top esports end. Audible boos on this side here. I didn't even give that assignment, but I think the T1 fans are also electric right now. So we're gonna do the battle chant. Are we ready? We're gonna start with T1 fighting, and then top esports fans, you're gonna answer with a TES. You understand the assignment? All right, I'll start us off. T1 fighting! TES! T1 fighting! TES! T1 fighting! That's okay, we did it well earlier. We're gonna get it again later today, okay? All right, I believe in us. Now we're gonna throw it back over to the casters because we're getting ready for game number 2.
Thank you very much, Kangas. Again, getting the Gyos out there, getting the fightings out there. It's been such a beautiful thing to see here. The crowds for both sides, both teams, all the teams have had such huge representation and huge fan bases.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to watch how many fans in particular for these two teams have come out. I do feel as though for the fans of this tournament, this has potentially been the best thing we could have possibly seen, is these two teams actually making it all the way, because as King has said, it has been electric listening to them cheer.
I'm just glad that, as much as I love the T1 versus Gen G matchup, I'm glad we don't have to see it once again. We get to see the representatives from both leagues going head-to-head, and it's made for a very electric and almost kind of crazy atmosphere there in the Qiddiya Arena. Love the energy right now.
Yeah, we're still working on figuring exactly out, but our top pros are on the case. When we find out, we'll let you know. We want to see the match as much as the players there. Again, just the stress of it all. It's been matches, best of threes, different format. You've had travel across the world. The, what is it when you don't sleep a lot? Jet lag starting to kick on in. There we go.
Lack of sleep.
Yeah, lack of sleep.
Yeah.
That happens as well. All of that part, a unique part of this challenge here at the Esports World Cup. But champions will figure out a way to get over the hump.
And I think the big thing watching through all this is because this event is so short, you have to look a lot at the teams who are going to be able to develop their play super quickly. And that has been something that T1 has had a lot of time to do at previous events, at MSI, at Worlds, where they have multiple weeks. T1 is now in a spot where, you know, they're dealing with rapid travel times, they're dealing with a very fast turnaround in the tournament, and they have a good draft this one, so hopefully they can turn it around.
All right, well, you saw the players starting to get ready for their matchup. Hands on keyboards and mice. Let's see how things shake up here in game number 2. Top Esports and T1.
Thank you so much, Cockatoo Man, and thanks for holding down the fort. Also to Kangas there as well, getting you guys in the Qiddiya Arena ready for this game number 2, and I think we are only moments away from delving once again onto Summoner's Rift to see whether we can even out the series, because that's what we want, mainly, is 5 games.
That's what anyone ever wants in a best-of-5 situation, is it just to go the distance and just have a fantastic matchup between two top teams.
It's okay, this happens normally, Orcs. I know this is your first time here on the caster desk. It's absolutely fine, everything's sorted out, and we are ready to dive onto the Rift. T1, you can see spawning in now. Faker with base skin, Ari, as per usual. No silly questions about using skins. That is not something that that man does. And now Top Esports making their way out onto the Rift as well. Very much looking forward to seeing whether this is going to be a reset for T1 or whether Top Esports, with a composition that we saw work very well against G2, whether they're going to be able to be the ones to do it. Faker already taking a little bit of damage. Oh my goodness.
Always got to be careful of that level 1 Braum, and Faker is going to be respectful here. Zeus Gonna collect some damage onto 369, some additional gold. But look at this draft. I mean, we talked about it moments ago. Really strong setup for the Ahri Charm into Vi Ultimate or vice versa. The Equalizer could be layered on top. This setup has been the strongest right now in this meta, but we're gonna have another lane swap, gentlemen. Once again, JackeyLab headed straight to the top lane.
Keria moving towards that bottom side, so T1 not aware of what's going on here, and of course with 369 in that tri-brush, maybe T1 don't quite know what's happening here. They do have this forward ward though. We'll see where the top esports move on in.
And you know, even though top esports didn't have a fantastic MSI, as a team they had a really good understanding of lane swaps and how they could leverage them for XP advantages, or in situations like this, to avoid rough lane matchups. And that is the goal. You know, you have Xante playing the Rumble, not the most fun time, but Mosi playing into this Calista Renata is something you definitely want to avoid. So we do see that similar top laners ganking mid. That kind of became a hallmark of MSI.
First strike gold, always going to be really nice as well when you're pushing in like this. His owner will secure the smite.
Yeah, you can see heal actually going to be invested here as well as the Winter's Bite really helping the concussive blows. As there's the flash, nicely done from Owner to get him towards that blast cone and get himself out of dodge.
Fantastic by Owner. If he doesn't flash at that exact moment, he gets denied the blast cone and will find himself in trouble. Can just head right down to the bottom side, clear from here. But an aggressive level 1 play from Mako. The heal traded for flash. You'll absolutely take that as top esports.
I think looking at the scope of how we've seen the drafts play out, really for top esports, even if they're a little behind on the back of this, they're still okay with that. T1 want to be ones getting the major advantage out of this, and we did see that change from MSI. It's even harder to take plates on the top lane than it was before, so in terms of gold, wouldn't take too much effort for T1 to get an advantage there.
Yeah, and T1 had a fair bit of practice against Team Liquid when it came to these lane swaps. Of course, MSI wasn't exactly kind, and that's why we saw a lot of teams actually trying to employ this lane swap strategy against T1 because they weren't exactly super comfortable with it. However, this is a different time and a different patch, and now it is slightly less, good to do the old lane swapping.
You can see how much the differences in damage here in top versus bottom turrets as T1 rip through these plates twice the speed of top esports here. So they're going to at least be able to get this Gromp here, Meko and Tian, but T1, really, really fast take of these plates, and then you can see Owner heading over and taking away some of Tian's jungle in return. Meanwhile, in mid, Faker having a pretty large lead there as well, has the level advantage, has the buffed Electrocute on this patch to continue putting the harass on. Here comes that TP. This has been a disaster a few times.
And he thought that they'd backed as well as, oh dear. Okay, that is first blood going over to JackeyLove as Mako tanks up the turret happily. And look, we've seen that one before, guys.
Yeah.
Third time this tournament.
We've seen it so many times, and just when you're seeing the plates drop off that bot lane tower for T1, thinking, you know, they're getting a pretty big edge, the TP comes in, top esports happy to get a first blood on JackeyLove. They'll definitely balance out the gold and ultimately put them in a really good spot to swap back the lanes. JackeyLove now has a tier in his inventory alongside some bonus items. And yeah, just ended up being a blunder from Zeus, but a great read from top esports to wait around for that TP.
Yeah, Faker going to be aggressed on here a little bit by Cream in the mid lane. You can see things going much better for the GOAT himself in this particular game. 200 gold going to be the lead in the end, though, for top esports, and that is a big swing back from the amount of control that T1 had earlier on. Zeus now moving back towards his top lane, and you can see very even as far as the top laners. It's not going to be another one of these very skewed games between the top lane farm. We'll see how 369 is going to do in this matchup as all the deception comes out. Bit of damage on the Cream, but otherwise not too much to worry about.
So effectively, top esports avoided some of the tougher parts of the matchup into the Calista. And you also have to consider as well, on top of this, that Zeus in this top lane loses his teleport, dies, of course. That's a kill going over to JackeyLove. But at the same time, in this matchup, it's difficult for Xante to actually punish Rumble's lack of teleport. He doesn't rely on mana. He's just going to be able to continue to trade aggressively here, and there's no way 369 could trade with him and then teleport back to get an advantage. So not the end of the world here for T1, but definitely a larger lead could have been had as Faker in the mid lane. Tian going to peek, but doesn't commit.
Yeah, we see a lot of damage being done to Cream on this Shone, but part of the power of this pick is just you go Darren Shield, you go Fleet Footwork, you go Second Wind, you gotta just shake it up. And now Zeus does have Flash here, but might be in trouble.
Yeah, the teleport didn't work out. Let's see whether the Flash does as he gets Bramble smashed back. Faker is here though, the teleport very early on, and now it's 369 that might be overextended. The charm doesn't land though, Orbit Deception, fair bit of damage onto Tien, and if anything, Faker has just saved his top laner, but can they actually find something more? As the Foxfires come on in, 369 going to be the first target, he gets under the turret, but the charm will find him, and now Tien's moved the wrong way. He wants to take a ward for his trouble, but he will burn down instead.
The second charm hits, and Faker's teleport timing here so fast, they're able to turn the play around. Looked really rough for Zeus. He's not going to get punished by 369, but the gank comes through, and Faker turns it around now in mid. It will cost him a little bit of farm here, but he was already up on farm, already had mid controlled. Zeus?
Yeah, Zeus just comes back. Faker completes his back as the scrap shield will come on in. But 369 will pick up the return solo kill.
Yeah,
So
not sure about that
weird.
one. Bit of a weird one. And the wave is also...
with his hand on his forehead right now.
The wave's also in such a terrible spot. Looks like 369 is actually just going to clear it out and go for a reset. But yeah, Zeus really fumbling on the back of what was a great play. And now we're getting some contest over these grubs. But Zeus isn't here to back up.
That is going to be one of them taken by Tien as Cream moving on in. He will have to go back to his soul, which could mean a 3 versus 1. Make it a 4 versus 1. So Tien is sort of left in the lurch. He kind of knew it was going to happen. Still has his flash and is going to be taken down. Did get one of the grubs though.
You can feel how much these two teams want. It feels like we're playing a little bit of catch here in terms of getting a lead and then tossing it away. As Zeus, like you mentioned, the wave was not a great spot, is way up in the lane. Baker has to come over here. It's a great gank by Tian. Baker's charm missing here. Looks out in the initial outset pretty rough, but Baker knows he's close enough to 6 here. Zeus helps him clear these minions. He then gets the Spirit Rush to chase them down. And Zeus has enough additional damage here as well. There's just no way this goes top esports' way. 369 goes to the flash, but it's not enough. The fadeaway charm secures the kill.
Yeah, and even though obviously Zeus dying in the aftermath of this is obviously a blunder, the team play and the decisions that T1 are going for as a unit have been really good so far.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of miscommunication as Faker was there backing at that point in time, but wasn't actually there to help out his top laner because he had a lane to get to, and he just managed to save him previously. So 2 grubs to 1 is going to be the result of that previous play, and 3 kills to 2 in favor of T1. A much better early game than what we saw in game number 1, and we'll see whether that is going to continue here for T1 or whether Top Esports have some more to show us. As Carrier moving towards that top side, Gumayushi has to cleanse and does move out of the way of the True Shot Barrage. Owner in the area. And Fate's Call actually employed very early on. Jackie Love looking for those Mystic shots. Doesn't connect. It is now Faker trying to avoid Cream, who does do a fair bit of work. Still has to take the Orbit Deception damage on his way back, though.
Could be a fight here, Mako. Does spot Owner.
Yeah, Tien in the area as well. So a 3 versus 3 handshake going to be utilized. Jackie Love not going to get CC'd from that one. Good side steps, but still has to flash as Carrier. And that is a lot of power. This Jackie Love Mako bottom lane is formidable, but they are playing so well here in this game. As Owner moves on forward, Cream, of course, can just snap back to that unbound soul. As flash forward, okay, Tien going to be the target, and he's going to return the favor. They find Faker just by himself after the Vi overextends, and Tien on about 50 health just walks away. Still, Owner is able to do some battle, but he will not be vault breaking forward to find anything here for T1.
Unfortunately for T1, 2 plays kind of going the wrong way. Topside, a very sloppy dive set up there. An extra turret shot taken. A long cooldown for the Fate's Call is expended. And then here in mid, he sees blood in the water, wants to flash here and get behind Tian, but that leaves Faker out to dry. And even with the flash attempt here, there's no way out. Look at Cream getting the knock up here to help Tian escape. Clean play from Top Esports. That gold lead shrinking a little bit.
Yeah, the thing is, Chen, even if he had gone down there, still got the value from the CC to set up Cream, so ends up surviving, which is even worse for T1, but it just felt like the target selection did end up backfiring a bit, and T1 now not nearly as big as a lead as you'd hope with a composition like this, and particularly because we had this lane swap setup, this Rumble's going to feel a lot weaker, you know, often a champion who can really take over games when he's ahead, when he's fed, but with only hitting 50 CS just now, he's going to have a lot less items than counterparts in other lanes, and Cassante is a lot less bothered about that.
Yeah, he's been spending a lot of time trying to pick up some plate gold. He took some bottom side, got some top side there, so even though he's low on CS, he does have a decent amount of farm, is working towards that first item, and we'll have it shortly here. But like you said, yeah, low econ top laners, the Rumble is going to get less impact than the Cassante as Owner's calling for another pass.
Yep, Faker looking for Cream here as the Unbound Soul does come in. The Charm's going to connect, but Cream playing this one out pretty well for now. True Shot Barrage just picks the gap between the two T1 players, but Cream's just fine.
Cream's been playing so well this tournament, and as the player with the least amount of experience on this roster by far, he's really stepped up to the plate when going up against mid laners like Chovy, like Faker, these hallmark names, and particularly on picks like Yone. You know, when he first joined the LPL, he was so big on those melee assassins, picks like Akali, picks like Silas. It's just a treat to watch.
Yeah, even taking out Caps, who's got you know, more international experience than most mid laners himself just yesterday. So really picking up the accolades already in this tournament. Played that last fight out so well with the rebind of his soul, avoiding that charm. And now Top Esports pivoting to Dragon here. T1 not in position to contest. We'll see what soul comes of this, as we're 1-1 apiece. This is not going to be the same type of game with Grubs where there's a Tristana in a side that can absolutely run away with the game. At least T1 pick up the consolation prize.
Yeah, they're going to be able to head on over there. Oh, now might be Mako getting caught out. Zeus is moving on in here. Does have the equalizer up and available, and Mako, he is not going to get them to use it. Never mind! There goes the equalizer, and they had to invest a couple of ultimates in the end to take down the Braum. Should mean that a couple of extra Grubs are going to go over to T1 off the back end of this one, so still a good play.
Yeah, managing to pick him up at the end. You saw Mako thought maybe just to be able to survive, but it's kind of showing the power of this T1 composition with his pick potential, and this is a pretty long fight.
Yeah, the Rend has to be used. There's the flash forward from Jackie Love. He lines up the Mystic Shot.
Oh!
Manages to tank the turret with the barrier. Just beautiful from Jackie Love.
I feel like every single Jackie Love fan held their breath in that moment, but as the barrier came out, they knew. He calculated it. He takes out the Kalista. It's a buffed Ezreal meta. It's a nerfed Kalista meta. We're seeing an Ezreal solo kill a Kalista.
Looking absolutely fantastic. Now Faker could be in trouble, but True Shot Barrage not going to connect. Mako not able to make his way over as we check out the replay once again of this 1v1.
And yeah, we saw a similar play to this from Jackie Love, where he tried to dive into the tower. The Karthus assault came in earlier this tournament, and it backfired massively. But here, doesn't get him range to auto, but gets the Mystic Shot. The barrier comes in and then just gets out of aggro range in time before the next shot comes through.
And +1 auto to the turret Ox as well.
Maximizing the damage there.
Man, that was such an impressive play, and now Faker in a bit of trouble here as the minion wave is going to move on in. Jackie Love and Mako just repositioning towards the mid lane. Gumayushi, though, will get some free time with this bottom outer. Thanks to the extra Grubs, of course, a 5-stack, meaning that the Void Mites are out. Does mean that they're at least able to augment that gold lead a little bit further. And T1's game plan has been slightly hindered, but it is still underway, right? They still have that early game lead. It's even on Dragons for now, but maybe they can start stacking up a few of these Oceans that have spawned as well.
It's going to be tough to punish Zeus up here on the top side of the map. Meanwhile, 369 is going to need some help here to defend this turret. Mako and Jackie Love are coming over, but T1 has numbers advantage. Zeus has equalizer and teleport here, so this is a very awkward moment for Top Esports. This is what you were leading into, Atlas. You know, this timing for T1's composition, incredibly strong. With the extra kill that Zeus picked up and that extra plate gold, he sits on his Leandries right now. He's going to be totally fine up there alone. Jackie Love trying to come over here and put some chip damage into this mid turret, but T1 using their spike incredibly well, even with no objective online.
And the fact that they're just going to get this tier 2 bot, it's such a huge influx of gold. Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous as Mako throws out the ulti, looks to interrupt Owner as he walks his way in, but the teleport from Zeus should mean this bottom laner going down as Mako able to walk his way out. The Foxfire is enough to do it though as Faker picks up another one. The Rift Herald is taken there in the meantime, so Top Esports gets something, but this could be outer turret taken as well.
And it felt like Top Esports knew they had to do something. They're losing that tier 2 bot. They have to make a counter punch. They try and get the mid tower a bit lower, maybe hoping they'll set up a Herald to take it, but a beautiful collapse from T1 comes through. The layering of the CC was there. Jackie Love goes down, and on the back of the tower take bot and that play, they now have 4,000 gold lead.
And Zeus could just come right back up here to the top lane. He's Leandri's Rumble. He's got such good wave clear. He's not going to allow a turret to go down here, and this is just a step forward too far here, as there's no way that you could see a teleport from 369 here. Zeus, on the other hand, finds the flank angle with his TP. The equalizer is beautiful, and with the Ezreal down, there's no damage to trade back. Baker happy to rush forward here and pick up the kill. T1 with a huge swing forward here again. Now the gold lead nearly doubling what it was moments ago. 4,000 here, the advantage for T1.
And now Top Esports, they need to try and stop the bleeding. We'll see where they're going to be able to do that, or if they are able to do that. As Gumayusi and Keria here in this mid lane, even though that 1v1 goes the way of Jackie-Love, I think that Gumayusi being able to offer so much extra power over to Keria is going to make these team fights still extremely difficult to navigate for Top Esports as we get towards this mid game. Late game, of course, Top Esports, a whole lot of different answers, but it's all about creating these leads early for T1, and it does not stop as Mako gonna have to flash away. We'll do so right here, 24 seconds on this Dragon, and I think T1 kind of want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an Ocean Dragon. It's only T1 second. I think Top Esports, you definitely do not need to contest this one. And the scary thing is, against this T1 composition, so easy to set up that initial pick when you have the Vi, and then the power of the Ahri with the follow-through and the ult is just going to easily allow them to snowball a fight. I think Top Esports should really be cautious and ask themselves, do we even need to contest this Dragon?
Faker's TP almost back up as well. 369 just used his, so if this goes on for much longer, he will be able to join in as this Rift Herald will crash through. They're going to try to take out this turret. Big win here for Top Esports. Great neutral contest into turret take.
Yeah, going to be the Dragon fully taken down. They did manage to deal with the minion wave, but you can't kill Shelly that quickly. And so she will be helping out. Tien taking a fair bit of damage, though, as Ona gets back over the wall. Equalizer! They're all lined up on top! And now the barbecue begins! The ultimate out there from Cream is decent. Still hit by the hostile takeover, though, as he flashes away. There's the cease and desist as Jackie-Love looks to try and get himself out of it. But once again, it's his Flame Spitter that's doing all the work. A double kill for Gumayusi, and they'll take the turret on top.
One equalizer there from Zeus, the perfect angle when they're up against the wall, nowhere to escape, and they decimate Top Esports. The cleanup is decisive, the tower take is there, the Dragon as well, and T1 making it clear there's a lot of fight left in this series.
Yeah, you get a turret, but it's going to be at a heavy price because it means you're so far up there. When the turn comes through from T1, you've got to play respectfully around all the ults, all the engages, the CC, the layering that can come through, that it leaves you against the wall. And when you're on that edge there, the equalizer value is just so high. Zeus starts it off, and then the team with the follow-up is so beautiful. Watch this here as we see they back away. Look at Ona's positioning. They have to kind of kite away towards the edge of this wall, which means Zeus gets a 4-man equalizer here. And then Ona decides he wants to go in. Looks like maybe he's overextended here, but they end up getting the Braum, and then he switches targets here onto Jackie-Love. Watch Keria shield him as well as he comes through so he can flash away and escape. Turret aggro juggled by Keria as well, then they turn on to Cream. Such a sick passage of play there from T1. Really showcasing what they're capable of with a draft like this.
And that says it all. I mean, I feel like with an equalizer, often you can get the initial damage down, but people move off it pretty quickly. But they were burning for such a long time. And considering this was a game where Zeus started off being lane swapped on, ended up dying after the TP, he has bounced back in a massive way.
Yeah, it's been incredible here. It's like lunchtime at Dominic Toretto's house, you know? Like, it's just straight up decimation from Zeus on this Rumble. He's going to have to keep it up. We'll see whether he will do so as this outer turret and next port of call. Faker going to land the charm, but not really going to get too much as the Unbound Soul is going to be employed. So T1 need to keep their feet on the pedal to continue the Fast and Furious references. And Cream clears out this minion wave. Top Esports, I think, just need to right the ship.
369 is just in the middle of nowhere. He was up top side trying to maybe shadow, make sure they can't actually set up for a turret kill there, but this means that Zeus has had so much free time down here in the bottom lane, and he got nothing out of it. Now trying to go for this flank, but he's seen on this control ward, and Zeus will be able to get out freely. And now the Rumble lead has really ballooned. He's almost 2,000 gold ahead, has 2 items. The Riftmaker so good for this brawly composition, and T1 are winning on both sides of the map. There's no inner and mid. They're using that plyo incredibly well. Here comes Guma.
Yeah, ultimate out immediately from Cream, but there's the follow-up from Gumayusi. He gets slowed down, though. And that is very important for keeping these Top Esports members alive. But this time, it's T1 that can then have that gank attempt denied, still managed to take a turret off the back end. This is precisely what Top Esports were able to do in Game 1, now on the other end of it.
Sort of seeing the meta that we've had for the tournament where games really can be so explosive when one gets an advantage, but particularly here, I think Top Esports are going to have a rough time because you have 2 carries in your composition, the Yone and the Ezreal, and against a Vi, against, you know, this Fed Rumble can equalize on top of the ult, it's going to be so easy for T1 just to immediately eliminate one of them, and then you have one carry fighting against a Fed Rumble, Fed Calista, Fed Ahri. it's very hard to make the way back through. So I think really for me, top esports need to try and look for pick angles rather than straight 5v5s.
And I do appreciate Zeus doesn't use his teleport to come down and catch that wave, just walks over, so now he can actually go back to this Baron here. They have so much damage, this 2-item Rumble here, and the Kalista. The security, even this early in the game, is quite strong for T1, and he can join at a moment's notice. Isn't showing on Vision right now, so look at top esports. They have to respect, they have to fight into a choke point, potentially with an equalizer here. If Zeus had teleported in, they don't know where he is right now. They're fighting completely blind. We've seen a lot of great vision control from the LPL teams in this tournament, but T1 right now doing exactly the same, and it's really tough for top esports to break in.
So hard to get vision at this point in time. The Baron, the next thing on the minds of T1, I mean, as soon as it spawns, it's kind of on the minds of T1. As True Shot Barrage going to have to be used just to scout the pit. Top esports do manage to get that ward down. Got a little bit of added information as Faker coming on over, and the Baron gets angry, so he'll lose 50% of his health bar. Of course, Baron at 21.5 minutes is still pretty dangerous. And top esports just catching waves where they can, but it feels like their side of the map is just ashes right now.
Yeah, it's really not been a good way, and they haven't really found opportunities to get much in return in quite a while. You can see from the gold graph, they fell behind, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And now they're trying to really contest this Baron vision, but Dragon's going to be up in 50, so that's also going to be a concern for them. You can see Ona given some space now just as jungle camps are being cleaned up, but TP comes in, they're looking for a flank.
Yeah, the Faker flank angle does come on through. Hostile takeover just splits up top esports. They can't support 369, but he's pretty mobile, and another equalizer comes down. This time, not going to be layered with other CC, but Faker is looking to rectify it. Great buffer from 369, gets himself out of the way, and even though Mako and Carrier shake hands, it's not going to be a team fight. T1 just taking control of the map. They do lose a couple of ultimates, but they'll retain a whole bunch of extra control.
Should be Dragon out of this guaranteed, but they want even more. They're going to grab this inner here in mid. Good true shot here for JackeyLove to kind of chip away at this minion wave, but it won't save the turret, and it won't save the Dragon. Cream and 369 have teleport, but no wards to go to, and with vision control over the Baron, there's no way they can rush over for a trade. T1 kind of have this one locked up in terms of both objectives. It's essentially checkmate. Top esports could try to flip the Baron, could take a crazy risk here, but it's just not worth it. And there's just no opportunities here for T1. Yes, they get away without anybody dying, but the equalizer value is just so high, they have to back away. They can clear this vision, but that is all they're going to get cross-map.
I think it shows how rough the game state is, that they get the TP from Faker, they get a lot of big ultimates out, and this composition for T1 has a lot of powerful ultimates, and yet still it's not enough. Still not enough to be able to turn things around, that they survive that initial engage. They lose the Dragon. T1 now 3 Dragons, 1 more to get that soul, and still you can see Carrier back up around the Baron, looking to clear control out of that ward there. Really high value one that top esports managed to sneak in. So using that time as T1 move towards the Baron to try and sneak some vision in that they hope won't get cleaned.
So at least they've got something, and there are teleports available from both 369 and Cream. So if T1 do decide that starting the Baron is a good idea, there's a possible avenue for attack here for top esports. We'll have to see whether that is actually going to work out, or whether T1 just get those sweepers out once again and make sure the area is as dark as possible.
And once again, it's Zeus on the bottom lane, pushing wave after wave in. TES, I mean, they have to respond. 369 has to walk down here. He has teleport, but now again, they could contest mid, they could contest neutral. Those visions, or the wards, the vision that they've set up is going to be cleared, as you say, because they just don't have enough to protect it. Okay, this one does get protected for the moment, but Owner will eventually push it back, and now top esports have to walk away. You mentioned the ult-based composition here for T1, Ox. I mean, it's so reliant on chaining these ultimates together. Now they're back online, so the timing window for top esports has really faded away here. Full vision goes to T1. They have the extra money now. They've got that Rumble teleport. Now it's time to start the Baron. Now it's safe.
Yeah, they managed to clear out that one pesky ward there, as well as Faker looking around, wanting to spot to see whether top esports are here on the contest. Tien looking to clear out this ward, and T1, they just leave the Baron. They're not going to flip it, and they're going to once again clear out wards, make sure that top esports have to go for a reset, and at that point, then they can safely take down the Baron. But it's suffocation here, and not wanting to make any risks on this map as Mako possibly caught out. There's a handshake. He puts up the door. He's soaking a lot of damage, but Faker dives in. He picks up Tien, who does have the twisted advance to try and get forward, but Zeus, it's once again the barbecue, and Faker is taken down. Trees on top of it. JackeyLove dies off the back end. Faker, he even had the bailout available. He was never going to die, and that is a clean ace for T1.
Such a decisive victory from T1 to bounce back on this one. They don't risk the Baron flip, and when the engage comes through, they connect on every single target. 5-0 ace, looking to end the game here.
Neko has to check. They have no vision. Somebody has to go in. If they don't, the Baron is lost. They walk right in to this chain CC composition. The snipe from Zeus with the equalizer, and T1 are going to equalize this series.
Yeah, and that is stomp after stomp, but on other sides of the rift, ladies and gentlemen. As the Nexus goes down, we have an even series here for the final of EWC, and we wouldn't have it any other way. It is now time for us to go to a short break, and after that, Studio's going to break it down.